Hi, everyone. Hope everyone had a wonderful New Year celebration or a pleasant time just being asleep in bed that night. That's what I did. I'm sorry if I sound a little fuzzy. I'm having basically dental work done all week. So right now I am not in pain, but my face is kind of numb. But I didn't want to just not do a video all week until I'm done with. It's nothing major. It's just a lot of little things that need to get taken care of after lockdowns and stress and yeah. Stay healthy, take care of your teeth, brush a lot. And moving on to your questions. So I asked if anyone had any questions that they wanted me to answer, and you did not disappoint. I have a bit of a list here, so we're going to start working our way through them. The first question was sent in by someone who I've known for a while. She's been a client for a while, and so she kind of knows a lot about how I do things. And so I'm just going to read the question the way she asked it. I'm just going to, I'm not going to say the exact birth date because I don't want to give anyone's anonymity away, but I will put details down below or on the side, depending on where you're watching this, where you can see what years or what balance of energies this information is relevant for. And I hope there'll be something that will be useful to everyone, just to learn a little bit about how we can work with people and with people's personalities through the Chinese energetic system. So the question is, how do I help my daughter, who was born in the second half of 2004, get back on track after a recent upheaval in our lives? So for the purposes of what we're doing today, I don't need an exact birth date. I've taken a half year just to look at the overall balance of energies that kind of affect how this kid or this young woman at this point relates to people and things around her in life. And so anyone who was born in the second half of 2004, this will all be the second half of 2004 based on the Chinese year. So I will put the exact dates below. And for all of 2004, this is going to be like pretty relevant. And again, the other years that have a similar mix of energies, I'm going to put down below after I do the math, because I don't know off the top of my head what those will be. So when we look at the second half of 2004, or when we look at 2004 as a whole, so that year is a year where the root energy, the what the energy that I'm just bringing into the world by being me is I can do this, is Earth, where the Earth energy represents family and home and stability and a safe foundation and caring and nurturing. And it's just, if you think like Mother Earth, grandma's in the kitchen cooking for everyone, being there, being supportive, taking care of people, this is that energy. And we all have it, like we all have all of these energies, but there are people who, that's just, they're just being themselves, and they're just naturally, like the mom friend, they're naturally nurturing, they're naturally caring. And now in this particular person's situation, that's not the only energy we're looking at, because we're also looking at the stem energy, which is how you express that. So for this young woman, the stem energy is represented by the wood, by the tree, by growth, by change, by creativity and starting new things, and the energy to burst out of a seed and push your way through dirt and rocks and maybe a sidewalk in order to grow into the big, beautiful thing that you were meant to be. And so this combination of the earth energy and the wood energy tends to bring about people who are, on the one hand, very caring, but on the other hand, they're not going to let you just like sit on the sofa and eat cookies all day, right? This is like a mom or a dad or a grandma or a coach or a teacher. This is someone who sees the best in you and who pushes you to achieve that, and who gives you like the foundation and the nurturing, the support that you need. And on the other hand, has like this ability to push you forwards and drive, give you some drive and some motivation to go out there and do stuff. Now, since we're not talking about a mom, we're not talking about a teacher, we're talking about someone who's I can do math, someone who's 18 or thereabouts, I think, yes, So that's someone who's getting ready to leave the nest, leave her home, leave all of her earth. She's going to abandon, in a way, her foundation, her security, mom having her back. And she is so totally leaning at this point into the wood. She's all about changing. She's like changing state. She's going to be going off, to volunteer or to college or to her first job or to do national service in Israel. And, so there's already this real, the balance between the earth energy and the wood energy. We are already like leaning totally to wood. And then we have an upheaval in the family, like something happened that kind of shook up the entire family situation. So that's even more, that's like another earthquake, like the earth just got shaken up, and all of that feeling of security and safe foundation. And, if it doesn't work out, I can always go home and I can call mom, like that was given a shake. And the whole feeling of security and safety and support, which is the energy that this young woman is most deeply connected with, just kind of shook under her feet, and she's trying to find her place. And that's very hard. It's hard for anyone, but it can be particularly hard when like that's what you count on. There might be, for someone else whose energies might be more about expressing themselves or forming connections with people outside the family or creative expression. Not that this is not that all these things aren't things that everyone does, but in this particular person's case, like the security and the foundation and the feeling of making a home and making a family is so very central that being shaken up is going to hit her harder than other people, most likely. So let's look at what we can do to kind of stabilize that. First of all, bringing in more earth, spending time with the family members who are not currently going through any hard times. If you've got, grandparents who aren't involved, or cousins you can go have a fun day trip with, or whatever, doing things in the home with the family, if that's currently a place that feels safe, or in anyone's home and with anyone's family. If you've got a best friend, or she's got a best friend whose family is currently really, really boring, then maybe going there for some meals, spending time with them, just feeling that feeling of security. Things that really bring, like really express and create that feeling of earthiness, that feeling of Mother Earth, family, home, kitchen, safety. Can be things like cooking, and especially baking. And especially baking bread with mom or with grandma would be like the ultimate. I'm sorry, I have a small cat here just walking across the screen. Baby, your tail's in the way. Yeah, sorry about that. She likes to help. So things like that can help kind of support the earth that's got shaken up. It can add a little more to the foundation. Other things you can do, not necessarily related directly to the earth. Every year has an energy that's the supporting energy. This is like when I feel out of balance, what's going to kind of help me feel more myself, what's going to help bring me back to center. And so for 2004, for this girl, that energy is the energy of fire. And not just fire, but the heavenly fire, the imperial fire, the great fire. So I'm going to explain what that means. Fire is all about connection. Fire is all about connecting with other people and with the world around you, and like a spiritual connection to heaven or your higher power or whatever you feel comfortable with thinking about. And fire is about sharing things between people, like ideas or new creative things. When someone creates a piece of art and you can look at it or listen to it or whatever, interact with something and feel an emotion that another person has transferred to you, that's the fire working through the object. if an actor who can portray an emotion and make you feel it, that's the fire that connects. A teacher who can keep the class spellbound and actually get people to take in what they're saying and to really grok it and like make this random information something that they understand, that's using the fire. And the fire is divided into kind of two levels, where we have the earthly fire, the everyday fire, which is like the hearth fire. This is like, again, cooking and connecting and sitting around the table and, connecting with your family or with your community. So like cooking together, baking bread together. What do you call it? A quilting bee. A quilting bee is like very, very fire, but very earthly fire, hearth fire, local, safe, secure fire. And well, that's great. And that also kind of, it's kind of on the boundary of the fire and the earth. So those things will all be helpful to someone whose earth has been shaken up. In this specific instance, for this specific person, the supporting energy is the heavenly fire. And so that's all about either spirituality or sharing something creatively. It's like you call it maybe a more intellectual level of sharing, although intellectual is a really terrible word because this is all embodied. So I don't know exactly. I'm just trying to translate the word heavenly into something that makes sense in English. But in this case, so things that support the heavenly fire, let's just go with that. I'll give some examples. Could be things like creating a work of art or taking in art. It could be things like taking part in spiritual activities, going to I don't know, like singing in choir in a church, or even just going on, a meditation retreat, although that kind of brings in some other elements of the more watery, like inwardness, whereas fire has the outward. Okay, I don't know how to edit, so we're just stuck with this. I am learning. Please ignore the last minute or so as I derailed myself and started analyzing where the boundary is between fire and water. Okay, things that will help support the heavenly fire. Art, taking it in, or I happen to know in this case that the young woman takes part in a very artistic field. So doing that, going to your synagogue and taking part in spiritually flavored communal events, let's say, as opposed to just having it be about connecting with people, bringing in an additional element of spirituality and a deeper connection or a higher connection, depending on what metaphor you want to use. And talking about what's going on and sharing it and feeling that someone is really listening. So that can be therapy, or that could be, talking to a friend, that could be journaling, but really feeling that like taking the emotions that are in her heart and sharing them and knowing that someone else has really taken them in and is connecting to them and is connecting to her through the sharing of her experience. Okay. Other things that might help just kind of settle or calm are all I'm just looking at the branch energy now, which I haven't done a video explaining what that is yet, but that's the energy that represents more how we interact with other people around us. So in her case, in fact, for all of 2004, the branch energy is water. It's the yang water, the masculine, active, moving, on the one hand, and on the other hand, the water, which is all about internal strength and connecting to one's inner emotions and feelings and truth. So it's an incredibly strong energy, and it's an incredibly deep energy in the sense of like keeping things inside, feeling things inside, connection to what's going on inside, but not necessarily showing it. So these are people who can look superficially, superficial, like happy-go-lucky, playful, but they're taking everything in and they're feeling it deeply, and they have a great deal of power in their emotions on the inside. And so things that can help with this energy, with this branch energy, when they need to share something and that's been going on with them, and they're not really, able to do so on their own, is maybe to encourage them to deal with what's going on inside in a manner that seems superficially playful or silly. So it could be like, do it with sock puppets. This is how I feel about what's going on with mom and dad or whoever it is. Act it out, do a Lego play, get your friends together and give each of them the voice of one of your emotions, and then just make it a game, or make it like an art form. Make it something, make the heavy, scary thing something that you can play with. And that's the way you can bring it out of the depths of the ocean, out of that deep, powerful, water that it's scary to contend with. Bring it into the shallows and kick it around, and, take all the scary emotions and build a sandcastle out of them and knock them down. Just make it, because, sorry, again, I'm going to learn how to edit, and then there will be less of these little snippets for you to watch. It's like when our emotions are so powerful and so overwhelming, and we feel them so deeply, it can be scary to express them, because maybe I'm gonna start talking, and then I'm gonna end up screaming, and I'm gonna scare people away, and no one's gonna want to be my friend. So if we can find a way to help her express her emotions in a way that kind of lets a little bit of the steam out of the pressure cooker, without necessarily having to deal with everything all at once, that can be very helpful. It can make dealing with what's going on inside less scary, and therefore it'll be easier to share with people. And once you've let some of the steam off and you've let some of the pressure out, it's less scary to deal with what's left. So that is something that could work for people with this branch energy. And again, I will write down below who those people are. When you have a big, overwhelming emotion to deal with, trying to turn it into a game, into something you can play with, or into something artsy, is a good way to try and cope with things on an initial level and make it easier to talk about, to share with people, to experience. So I think that is at least, some ideas of things you can do that will hopefully help your daughter be able to let some of the pressure off of herself or out of herself, and hopefully feel a little more stable and secure with where she is. And I'm wishing you all the best of luck with everything that's going on. And I hope that this new year brings us all just so much health and safety and security and ease, and just may 2022 be so much better than the past 2 years. And please feel free to let me know, everyone, what you thought about this. Did you find any relevant information? Was anything helpful? Do you have any questions, or any more questions, any follow-up questions? I'd love to hear from you. So you can reply or write a comment, depending on where you're seeing this. And I will be with you, God willing, in a couple of days. And worst comes to worst, next week. It kind of depends how my mouth does. So wish me luck. Bye.